Hello and welcome back. This is Jason Delgado. This is the ReUp. We're talking to you from the Orsini Studios. Today we're going to be talking about stick-to-itness, sticking with it, perseverance, whatever you want to call it. One of the hardest things to do, sticking with it. Let's go. So, welcome. This is the Orsini Studios. My name is Jason Delgado, and this is the ReUp, episode 7, I want to say. Pretty good. No, it's pretty official. We could fill up a whole calendar week. In any case, welcome. This show, if you don't know and it's your first time joining us, my name is Jason Delgado. I'm a stand-up comedian out here in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Trying to make my way up the ranks to being a professional. Not having to work the day job, but working the dream job. You know, making all your successful dreams come true, you know, and what it takes to do that. On my way towards that, I kind of just share the stories, pitfalls and triumphs, stuff of that nature. So thank you for joining. But today, we're going to discuss something that I thought was kind of an important thing. The most important thing, actually, to be honest with you, for me at least, is sticking with it. You know, because I think a lot of times, you know, there's just not going to be a lot of progress, I find. You know, like you're doing something, you feel like you're doing a good thing, and it's just there doing that good thing. And it's sometimes tough to kind of like stay motivated and stay with it. And so I kind of wanted to go over, I don't know, little tricks that I use just because I find like I go through it too, you know, but I find like I've been a lot better about sort of like keeping my mind right so I don't kind of veer off into that path. There's a book, I think it's Think and Grow Rich, or some self-help book calls it Drifting, where your mind starts to just drift into a place where it's, you know, it's just thinking about all the bad stuff around, and then you're just like, that's everything, and you just spiral down. And so today I think, you know, I wanted to kind of talk about what I use, the techniques and the tricks I use to kind of keep my mind right. Because, you know, anybody who wants to do something creative, like an artist thing, it's going to be tough, man. You're going to have those days where you're like, man, am I even any good? Am I worth it? Is it worth it? Is anything worth it? And it happens to, I think, everybody. Even if you're not trying to do something arty. But I think especially if you're trying to do something creative, because you know, even the helicopter or the motorcycle, or whatever it is, think so. But yeah, I think if you're trying to do something creative, there's always that sort of, you know, nagging thought in the back of your head, like, is this even worth it? Why should I do this? So I wanted to discuss what I use to kind of get over those little humps. Couple quick things. First off, I want to talk about how it happens. I mean, how does that even happen? Like, why everything's going fine one day, and I feel good. You know, you're doing your thing. Every day you kind of, you know, I have my schedule where I go out, I perform, I do my open mics, I do my shows. You know, you're doing your content, everything's going good. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, the creeping doubt. The creeping doubt. I don't know what happens. Maybe just something around. They say like everything around you kind of influences you in some sort of, you know, subconscious way. But all of a sudden, a creeping doubt starts to come along. Like, why are you doing this? Why are we even doing this? Why is this happening? You're not going anywhere. You're still working the day. You're just grinding out this thing. Why don't we just chill? Why do you want to go through all this hassle? Creeping doubt just creeps in, you know. And it's like, I go like, I don't know why is this happening? Like, why all of a sudden out of the blue am I just feeling this way? And when I think about it, I really find like what it is realizing that it's not you. And this really does help my comedy too, and I'll explain it. The thing that, again, I kind of talk about it in the past, but like separating you from your mind. You know, you're not your mind. There's your mind that's kind of has all those things that happened to you when you were 5 and you were 12, and that time you said that stupid thing when you were 22, and you'll never forget it. All those things are sort of part of the experience that sort of make you up. And a lot of the things that you do, or that I find that I do, I should say, speak for me, but I say the editorial you. But a lot of things that I think happen to you and the things that you do are things that are subconsciously driven. You know, the same things that make the hair grow on your arms, or make your heart beat, or make the blood flow through your system. It's just things that are happening automatically. Your brain is taking care of that stuff all by itself. And it's because it was stuff that was just programmed in. You had a bad experience about this thing that one time, and the smell of something or the feel of something It all regresses back and kind of brings it back to its current experience. Your mind heads back, says, this is just like that time that lady yelled at me when I was 20. Brings it back to the future, and then now you filter all experiences through that. And I find every time I sort of stop and go like, why are you feeling this way? Why are you doubting yourself? Why are you creeping doubt? It's always because it's not you, it's your mind. Your mind is filtering through experiences, commercials you saw, things that might have happened throughout the day, and it's just popping up suggestions. It's like a random internet browser. It's just like, what about this? What about this? What about that thing that lady said? What about this other thing? And it's giving you all these pop suggestions. And a lot of times when I get into the creeping doubt, it's because I mistaken myself for my mind. And I go like, you're thinking about all these things because it means something. There's a deeper meaning to why you're thinking about this. It's not you that's thinking about it. It's your mind. Your mind is loud and it just yells a lot, and it's all the things, same things that make your hair grow, make your heart beat, make your respiratory system do its thing. All those things are the automatic things. That's the mind. The mind is just flowing through that because you're concentrating on this, and all of a sudden it'll just pop in and smack it. And I noticed the reason it helps for my comedy is because it's the separating of me and my mind, because the mind is a really good tool. Like it's where I come up with the jokes and the bits and all the things. So it's not something that you want to just cut off, but it's something you got to kind of like look at, kind of like a browser. It's just suggesting things to you. But what I like about the comedy element to it is that I'll think of an idea and just write it down in a book and then just put that book somewhere. And then another idea will come up and I'll write another idea and then I'll be like, oh, that's funny. And then I'll put that book away. And then one day when I'm kind of like sitting around, I'm like, okay, it's time to write, kind of come up. I'll go through the book and I'll be able to read stuff as if it wasn't me. Like I was like, oh man, that's really funny. Or, oh, what the heck was I thinking? But it's, you're kind of looking at least for me, I kind of looking at the scribbles in my mind, like things that sort of pops up automatically. Like I'll say something in a conversation with a group of friends and pop up like, oh, that's really good. That's a nice tag. Write that down. And maybe a month from now, I'll read it and be like, oh man, that's hilarious. Or not. And just have a perspective on it that's not me. It's not like, oh, look at what you did. It's kind of like, look at this thing. But I hope I don't get sued for the Wu-Tang happening outside. Anyway, I hope everybody can enjoy that. But yeah, it's one of those where like you look at it in a way that it's not you. And you go, man, this perspective is nice because now it's not, it's like you just found something. At least for me, that's the best way I can describe it. Like you just found something, oh yeah, that's right, that was funny. And I think that perspective of where you can separate the you part from that mind part, super helpful for avoiding the creeping doubt. Because that creeping doubt, that's where it comes from. It comes from thinking to yourself, something around you has influenced something and it popped that thing in your head. Like, oh, maybe you're not good enough. Ignore that. Because you already know. You already know. I'm kind of cheating a little bit because I do have a couple little notes here. But the other thing is, how do you fight it, is that you don't. You don't fight it. I mean, when these things start coming in and they start flowing, at least for me, if I go like, no, that's not it. I'm not feeling that way. No, I'm not. That's not me. Lies. Something's creeping, man. If you're feeling some kind of doubt because somebody said something, you saw something or something, is that true? You think maybe I'm not? Whatever that is, accept it with faith. Because if you accept it, then you can analyze it in this way. At least for me, that's the most helpful thing. I can analyze it in this way where it's not it's not this like unfightable demon or this like part of your soul that's like, oh, we got to put that in the closet or whatever. Like, sometimes you get mad and sometimes you get frustrated and sometimes you feel doubt. And those things, when they pop up, have oranges in something that you can fix. It's always something you can fix. I know with me, every time I go deep, I always look and I go like, no, there it is. This is reminding you of that time that thing happened 10 years ago. It could be that crazy. It could be that crazy and that dramatic for me. So I find the best way to avoid that creeping doubt is to not fight the feeling. Accept it, but look at it from that separate way. Like it scribbles in a book that you're reading. Like, hey, maybe you're not going to make it. Interesting thought. I wonder why someone wrote that there. And then you look at it and you go, nah, I don't like that. And you put it away. And you give yourself a different story. But that thing is so important. Looking at it, I think somebody wrote, you don't avoid the darkness of yourself by hiding it. You avoid it by shining a light on it, seeing where it is, and then, kind of finding yourself around it. Little tricks. I know for me, when people say like it has to be about faith and love, but I think love or, what are you doing anyway? You know what I mean? Because I find sometimes there's this thing of like, if you have to find something you love. You got to love it with a passion. It's a passion and a love that is unfettered. It's like, I don't know if that's the case. At least for me, I feel like I do love this comedy thing, but it ain't all the rose petals, man. It ain't everything. There are days of doubt. There are days where, this past Sunday I had to go to a show, started at 9 o'clock. I got to work at 6 a.m. I get out, my car won't start because the wheel is locked. It's all this crazy, you never know what's going to happen. And so I feel like to have that sort of perseverance to say like, no, all of these experiences are happening for me, not to me, and they're happening to benefit me. And giving it that story and giving it that faith, or if nothing else, what are you doing anyway? You're stuck in it anyway. You might as well find something good about it. So love, or what are you doing anyway, to be honest with you? Because I know for me, I don't want to go out and try to I don't want to just let something go. I don't want to just let it go and be like, that was too hard. Never mind. Or, maybe you're right. The reason you're feeling this way is because, your mind is probably thinking on the track, to get you in the right direction. No. Your mind will try and steer you in all types of crazy, stupid ways sometimes. And you really got to find that place where you go, hey, this is me and this is my mind. This is the information I'm seeing, and it's not me. It's just a web browser, just a random web browser, just showing you data about stuff you're embarrassed about, maybe when you were 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 or whatever yesterday. And that's, for me, I know that's the biggest distinction that's helped me. Separating me from my mind, having faith, and also not denying these dark things, not denying these feelings you feel. If you feel doubt or you feel worry, it's coming from somewhere, but it's not the story of you. It's not who you are. It's just information to help you grow. It's happening for you, not to you. And give yourself to something, Just give yourself to something and don't be afraid. Fearless faith. And yeah, I think we're going to call it there. There's a little bit of a harangue re-up, but I wanted to kind of get this out there because I know, I've had a few recent experiences where I've kind of felt that creeping doubt. And I've also had experiences where I've seen other comedians who crush and do great work, and then they get off the stage and they go, I don't know if I sounded that great. I don't really feel good about myself. I seem tired. Like this story that they're placing themselves in that says, you're not the winner, You got to place yourself in that story where you're the winner, you know what I mean? If you have creeping doubts, you can feel the creeping doubts, but you are not the story that they're talking. You're your own story, right? Yeah. Flex positive. All right. That's the end of this episode. Thank you for joining me. My name is Jason Delgado, and we will see you on the next episode of the ReUp.